Here is the latest Higher Summits forecast brought to you by our friends at the Mount Washington Observatory.
Weather above treeline in the White Mountains is often wildly different than at our trailheads. Before you hike, check the Higher Summits forecast at mountwashington.org. Weather observers working at the nonprofit Mount Washington Observatory write this elevation-based forecast every morning and afternoon. Search and rescue teams, avalanche experts, and backcountry guides all rely on the Higher Summits forecast to anticipate weather conditions above treeline. You should too. Go to mountwashington.org or text forecast to 603-356-2137.
What's good, listeners? Nick here with your forecast for the weekend of March 7th, 2026. Friday. Mostly in the clouds under mostly cloudy skies. Slight chance of snow showers and sleet showers. Possible additional snow and sleet accumulations of a trace to 1 inch. High in the upper 20s. Winds south, shifting southwest at 10 to 25 miles per hour, increasing to 15 to 30 miles per hour with gusts up to 40 miles per hour. Wind chill 0 to 10 above. Friday night. In the clouds, chance of a wintry mix. Possible additional snow and sleet accumulations of a trace to less than 1 inch. Possible ice accumulations of a trace to less than 1/10 of an inch from freezing rain. Low falling to mid-20s, then rising through the night to the lower 30s. Winds southwest at 15 to 30 miles per hour with gusts up to 40 miles per hour early. 30 to 45 miles per hour with gusts up to 50 miles per hour midnight. And 50 to 70 miles per hour with gusts up to 85 miles per hour late. Wind chill 0 to 10 above. Saturday. In the clouds, chance of a wintry mix early trending towards a chance of rain. Possible additional snow and sleet accumulations of a trace to less than 1 inch. Possible additional ice accumulations of a trace to less than 1/10 of an inch from freezing rain. High around 40. Winds southwest at 50 to 70 miles per hour with gusts up to 95 miles per hour, increasing to 60 to 80 miles per hour with gusts up to 110 miles per hour. Wind chill rising to 15 above to 25 above. So kind of a yucky looking forecast for this weekend. Looks like we've got a bit of a warm-up coming through. Possibly winds hitting the century mark or above. Stay safe out there, safe hiking, go crush some peaks.
Broadcasting from the Woodpecker Studio in the great Live Free or Die state of New Hampshire. Welcome to the Sounds Like a Search and Rescue podcast, where we discuss all things related to hiking and search and rescue in the White Mountains of New Hampshire and beyond. Here are your hosts, Mike and Nick.
We're live, episode 225. We got Izzy here. Izzy, have you done a podcast before?
I have never done a podcast before. It's very exciting.
I feel like hiking with Dave is like the equivalent to doing a podcast.
Yeah, hiked with Dave.
It's something like that. It's like a comedy show that you didn't know you signed up for.
Right. So Izzy's
you also can't escape it either.
You cannot escape it.
I love you, Dave. But yeah.
She's a referral from Dave Shits in the Woods. So if you're terrible, Izzy, it's all Dave's fault.
Yeah, we're
if
gonna
you're
blame
good,
Dave.
it's like we'll say that it was because of us.
Exactly. You will not get notable podcast recommendation of the week.
Exactly. Yep. So welcome. So all right. So welcome to episode 220. This is where we're going to hype you up. So get ready and correct me if I get any of this wrong. So welcome to episode 225 of the Sounds Like a Search and Rescue podcast. So this week we are joined by hiker, blogger, White Mountain tracer, and all-around mountain machine Izzy Risitano. It's Risitano, right? That's the right name?
Risitano, yep.
We talked about your name on the podcast before, and I was like, that's a very like 1950s sitcom type of name. Like you'd be like what do you call it? Richie Cunningham's sister's friend. That's like an Izzy Risitano. But anyway, you're better known as Where's Izzy. You have a blog called Where's Izzy. So we'll talk about how you got into hiking, what sparked the blog, all about your adventures in the bushwhacking, the trace, redline madness, Mountains for Meals, and whether you actually prefer hiking with Dave or Liz more. Plus, we've got news out of New Hampshire, including I may have Nick. I may have triggered a sledding ban on.
I don't know, Mike.
I'm not
going to point any fingers. I'm going to remain agnostic, but
I am going to defend myself.
I don't know,
when we
man.
get to that part. So
the timing.
It's maybe bad, but the sledding is banned on the COG, so don't do it. So plus there's got more snowmobile crashes. We got a couple of recent search and rescues, and then we've got some reminders on the AMC Adopt-A-Trail renewals. So if you're an adopter, keep an eye on your email. We'll talk about that. We got some White Mountain history with the Anniversary of the Weeks Act. Nick has done a geography investigation into Intervale and why New England refuses to make town lines simple. We'll talk a little bit more about the live show coming up on Mountain Wanderer. We'll talk about gear, and the cooler brand Yeti has a backpack that they've made. So we'll do a gear review on that. And then we're going to talk about rain strategy. Spring is coming. But that will mostly involve me just completely avoiding the rain. That's my system. We'll get some listener shout outs with recent hikes on Doublehead and Mount Pierce, and Nick's been elsewhere. And then of course we'll add a dad joke and some notable hikes and all that fun stuff. So I'm Mike.
I'm Nick.
And Izzy is here as well. Let's get started.
Let's get started!
All right. So, Nick, this is the part of the show where we're going to do our plug for the Alzheimer's Association 48 Peaks.
Yeah, so you can use your passion for hiking to end Alzheimer's, join 400 plus hikers as they climb New Hampshire's 4,000 footers, or create their own challenge to support the mission of the Alzheimer's Association. The annual hiker celebration will be Saturday, June 13th at Ledge Brewing with raffles, food, and an amazing community. Hike that weekend or any day you want this summer. No fundraising minimums, but those who raise $125 will receive the annual performance grade t-shirt and a ticket for the hiker celebration. Let's turn the White Mountains purple to end alls. Visit alls.org/48peaks to learn more.
Yep, and if you want to participate and you want to hang out with me and Nick and Nobby and maybe, Stomp probably won't make an appearance because he'll be limping around. But if you want to join the SLASRPodcast 48 Peaks team, then you can join us on June 13th to hike Mount Adams. So we'll leave from Appalachia, and then the plan will be to go up airline if the weather's nice, and you can join. You can sign up. So we'll include the link in the show notes if you want to join up. And Izzy, have you been on the Alzheimer's teams with Dave and Liz at all? Have you done that yet?
Yeah, I did it for my birthday last year. It kind of coincided for the same weekend, and we had an amazing hike up to Katahdin for our Alzheimer's hike.
No, that's perfect.
Cool.
That's perfect. So what do you got planned for this year? Anything good?
We're actually doing 2 this year. We've got some people, more than one person to honor, so we figured we'd do 2 hikes. So this year we think we're going to do Baxter again for June, and then we'll do another in July, probably up in the Mahoosic area. So two main hikes that'll be probably real different, but both remote.
All right. Well, you are you're doing better than we are. We're just doing one. So, but I got to organize it. So it's like herding cats with this stuff. Like last year we had Nobby like losing his shoe in the middle of the hike. It's a whole thing. So
you had to duct tape something together. We keep picking on him for that incident, but he did have a boot incident. It did happen. Yeah.
I did adopt a dog on that hike, though. That was fun. Remember the dog came and wanted a summit photo with me?
Yeah.
So
you were happy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So that's the only chance I have for a dog. Mrs. Mike is in Florida, so I'm all by myself. So I have to cook dinner. I got to make the bed in the morning. It's terrible. And she still won't let me get a dog.
Can you get a rental dog or something you can have when she's gone and you just wouldn't tell her about it?
Well, so my plan is I have 3 daughters. My daughters are your age. I have one that's graduated college in 2024. I got one graduating this year, and I got one that's a sophomore. So, but they all like dogs. So my plan is eventually when one of them moves out, they're going to get a dog, and then they're not going to be able to take care of it all the time. So I'm just going to be like, oh, I'll dog sit, and then eventually it'll become my dog.
That's real sneaky. I feel like you're revealing your plans on here. It's maybe dangerous territory.
Mrs. Mike does not listen.
Perfect.
So I'm safe.
Mom's
here,
the word.
So that's it. All right. So just getting into some topics here. So I think Stomp may have put this in here. So there is a new proposal in Nepal. So this is Himalayas news here. So amateurs are going to face a Mount Everest ban and this is going to end the influencer mountaineer era. So did you pull this, Nick, or was it Stomp?
Nope, Stomp pulled this.
Excellent. So I always know Stomp pulled an article because every article that he pulls is like behind a paywall, and I have to go into archive to like find a copy of it. So he seems to have some way to get like paywalled articles a lot. I can't get them.
It's mysterious. We don't know.
I don't know. We'll have to investigate that next time he's around. But anyway, amateur climbers are set to be banned from scaling Mount Everest under a new law that will deter influencers and overcrowding. So mountaineers will be required to have conquered a 7,000 meter peak before attempting the world's tallest mountain. So essentially, instead of doing like the 8,000 meter peaks, there's 14 of those around the world. You have to do at least one pretty large mountain.
And it's actually in Nepal, so it has to be a mountain higher than 7,000 meters in Nepal specifically. Oh. So not even just around the world. Oh. So really, really limiting to that locale.
Okay. I didn't realize that. Yeah. And then there's a whole, like, this article just goes into a whole bunch of detail about people just doing dumb things. Like there's a Singapore couple that had to be rescued by helicopter in 2024 because they took their 4-year-old kid to base camp and they didn't acclimate him to the elevation. So he had acute altitude sickness, like worst parents of the year. And then a YouTuber ascended the mountain at 22 years old, just 1 year after training for an online documentary. His trip cost more than $1 million and prompted controversy for advertising dangerous climbs to his young followers. In 2023, a 59-year-old school teacher from India died in her attempt to be the first Asian person to summit Mount Everest with a pacemaker. That is such a niche attempt. Like that is like a really niche, like
it is.
I'm going to be the first to do something with a pacemaker. I don't know. What else is there? There's another, so she just died. I guess she died a few hundred feet above base camp, so she didn't even make it that far. So anyway, people are just bananas about this Mount Everest stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always that line where they make a ton of their money off doing it, and it seems like it's just becoming increasingly sort of like the Wild West, where as long as you have like 60 grand or whatever to burn, or even less, you can just kind of go up there and attempt it. So it seems like eventually there's going to have to be some sort of regulation. I mean, I think this has been building up. It doesn't seem like this is maybe the formal push, but...
Yeah. I mean, I get the idea to spread it out. Like when you see base camp, you see all of these summits that are around the area. Like there's no reason why people can't just go climb like something that's like 7,500 meters. It's only like a couple thousand feet below Everest, and the views are going to be the same. And it's probably going to be just as challenging, and sometimes probably more challenging. So spread it out a little bit. It's kind of like what they try to do in the White Mountains a little bit. Although, do they try to do that in the White Mountains?
Yeah,
I guess we try to. We tell people don't go to Franconia Ridge on a weekend. Go to the Mahoosics.
Yeah, I mean that is the genesis of sort of the 4,000 footer list, was them trying to spread around traffic from Mount Washington and some of the more popular peaks. But I think that's a good idea, Mike. You think? But again, everybody wants that sort of title and accomplishment of climbing the tallest mountain in the world, the tallest peak in the world. So.
Right. Izzy, did you ever think about doing any of these crazy trips outside of New England to like exotic areas to climb?
I certainly have, but Everest does not interest me in the slightest. I mean, the danger and how gross, people that are just kind of left there, and how much you need to pay, and the impact on the local economy. They're probably not getting as much as they should, but somehow you're still spending $60K. It's a lot. I think people always ask me about Everest as soon as they say that I hike. I'm like, that's not hiking at all. That's mountaineering.
Yeah, exactly.
Kilimanjaro, maybe. That's on 2 feet. As soon as there's an ice axe involved, I don't think I'm interested.
Yeah, Nepal's interesting to me, but from the perspective of going trekking, like I don't think I would go near base camp. But I've been in like Eastern Europe and areas like the high Tatras and places like that, like Slovak. Like there's so many places that people don't even think about that are like amazing to go to that I think would be more appealing than going to Everest. And like it just sounds like a zoo to me.
Yeah, I mean, maybe not Everest, but there's a lot of high peaks that you can just hike to that you don't need mountaineering experience to do either. I mean, obviously not something above 8,000 meters, but...
Right. So, all right. So anyway, if you had plans to go to Mount Everest, then it's going to take a little. It's going to take some time.
Expect the worst.
Yeah. You gotta put the work in for that. So, all right. Speaking of work, we are putting work in. We're going to be at the Mountain Wanderer on Saturday, April 11th for a live show with our friend Forrest from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. So if you want to come meet Mike and Nick and Stomp. And I'm going to see if Andy from the COG will show up. We'll see who else can join us, but we're going to be there from 2 p.m. until 5 p.m. and then probably heading over to one of the breweries in Lincoln to hang out afterwards. So again, that's Saturday, April 11th from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Mountain Wanderer. So come by and say hello.
Yeah, it should be a great time. It'll be fun recording a live show. Those are always a blast.
Yes. And then, so the next topic we have here is the COG Railway, our friends from the COG. Again, this is another one that I pulled the archive link, Nick, because I knew this was going to happen. I got paywalled. So
I looked this up on my phone then here, so I guess I'm fine to look at it again on my Mac.
Yeah. So this is just so the union leader, they put a nice article out on the COG just to remind people that the COG does run all year round, and it does run over the winter season up to Wambach Station, which is about the halfway point of the mountain. So you can go up there. They've got a nice like fire pit, and they still do the history and all that fun stuff when you're riding up there. And then you take your pick. If you want to, I guess, hike up a little bit, you can do that. If you want to hike down, or if you want to ski down or something like that, you can go ahead and do that. So there's some nice quotes in here about the history. It talks about the, there's some quotes from the COG's general manager, Ryan Presby, about the winter offerings. And then it gets into like a long segment about our friend Andy from the COG talking about how the COG it's not really well known, but it is for listeners of this podcast, but it's not really well known about how the COG is always there for search and rescue missions. So it went through probably 3 or 4 of the recent rescues that the COG has done over the last couple of years, I think, Nick?
Yeah, at least maybe more. I know they were definitely busy this spring. There was quite a few where they kind of ended up, they'll go basically up as far as they can and usually take West Side Trail or something. Again, there's been so much action on Jewel recently. It's a great alternative and gives the rescuers quite a head jump instead of having to hike up Jewel or up another trail to try to kind of cut over. And obviously time's of the essence and hypothermia situations and things like that. So
right,
they do great work.
So the COG in the article, they remind people that you're welcome to take up snowshoes if you want to climb farther up. Skiers that want to ski down beside the tracks are welcome to do so. The one thing that's not allowed, Nick, that they just emphasize that I did not know about this, is that sledding is not allowed. The COG said it's too dangerous. There's people snowshoeing or hiking beside the track. The sled can't stop or turn well enough. So, they basically just remind people that sledding is no bueno anymore. So, which I didn't know. So I think that they do a review periodically on insurance and all that stuff. So, backcountry skiing, snowboarding is absolutely permitted along the rail corridor. Sledding and tubing is not allowed. So too bad. I did do it. I've done it twice, Nick, the sledding, and I will say it's pretty fun, but it is risky. We've sledded enough, Nick. You sort of know how to stay under control and whatnot. But I'd like to think I'm pretty responsible about it. But some people, maybe they're not responsible, and you got to be careful out there.
Yeah, I do get their perspective. I think some people might think it's kind of arbitrary because, again, they're allowing skiing or snowboarding. But you really are out of control a lot more on a sled. I guess unless you have some sort of specific sled that has steering and a brake. I think most hikers, even when we've kind of gone up, you have just a plastic sort of thing that doesn't have really much control. You're using your legs and your hands. I guess some people you could use an ice axe or something to brake if you really wanted to, but again, it's kind of fundamentally a lot different from skiing or snowboarding down along those tracks.
Right. And I will say, like, so the time I sledded down like 2 years ago, that was pretty easy. It was like soft snow, and it wasn't moving. You didn't move super fast, but I will say the last time I did it, it was icy and slick, and like I really was like cautious. Like I had my feet down the whole time, and I was like working hard to just keep it slow because it was just like icy. So you can see how you can get out of control for sure.
Yeah, and again, being above tree line too on pretty much the whole way of that, you're not really in the trees much. It's not like when I was with you guys on Tecumseh where you're sort of funneled in a little bit. Yeah. Like, I mean, you really could quite literally slide off into the side of a ravine.
Exactly. So, but the article includes a link to places in the White Mountains where you can go tubing and sledding. So we'll include that link, and then just generally sledding advice and safety notes, because I do a fair amount of sledding on winter hikes, and I would say at this point right now, like Tecumseh is a good one to check out. Mount Pierce is a good one to do. South Hancock, I always say that's a fun butt slide. And then Liberty Springs is another one that I've done. And I do like the idea of sledding when it's later in the season, so that the trails are sort of high. So they have the high walls, and they kind of keep you in that slot. Like we experienced that with Tecumseh, Nick. So
yeah, absolutely. You kind of have that nice snowshoe gully from people patting it down. And we've got plenty of snowpack this year too, where that can happen. So you kind of can't really steer off trail too much unless someone blows through it like you did, and then you end up falling in the ditch of the person in front of you.
True. Yeah, sorry about that. And I'm always like, one thing I always keep in mind is like the people that are coming up the trail as you're sliding down. So if there's like a blind spot, you're coming around a corner or over a hill or something like that, I always slow down at that point so I can basically stop right away. Every once in a while you'll get someone that give you a stink eye, even though you stop like a mile up before them. But the no fun police, I can't deal with them.
Yeah, it's similar to like if you're not wearing snowshoes and maybe you wore them on the way up and someone's kind of looking at you. I don't know.
Yeah,
similar vibes. Just use common sense.
Anyway, but yeah, so that's the deal with the COG. No more sledding. I know that the Facebook people were pissed.
Yeah,
I was like, oh man, don't bring my name up into this thing. So
yeah, I didn't check it out, but apparently there was quite the uproar.
I mean, I feel like a lot of the people doing the uproar aren't really ever even going up that way anyway. So, yeah. But anyway, there's other alternatives. Go to Tecumseh, go to Pierce. You'll have fun.
Yep.
What's next, Nick?
So next, this actually came out today, but for those of you that adopt trails through the AMC, just a friendly reminder that you need to renew your trail adoption by April 13th. It sounds like our friendly AMC volunteer program folks that's kind of been on Craig Heintzelman. He'll be actually sending out personalized emails to people this year with your trainings and anything due. And make sure you renew your trail adoption, or you can scope out a new trail, look at sort of those orphan trails, or maybe just pick up an additional trail if you have more free time, like maybe Mike will have with his empty nesting.
Yes.
Yeah, and shout out to Craig for just doing it great. I feel like I joined like 4 or 5 years ago, and it seems like he's been pretty instrumental to changing how this program's unfolding and making it a lot more personalized. Just really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to get out there with my my brushing tools and clear out the bald face circle. That thing is going to be absolutely pristine. If anybody walks on the trail and a branch touches their shoulder, unacceptable.
Do you have the whole trail, Mike?
I have from the north bald face to the Eagle Link, I think it is.
Oh, that's a great section.
So, yeah. So, is it north or south bald face? I can't remember. I have both of the summits and then out to Eagle Link. So yeah, it's about 2.5 miles.
That's awesome.
So, are you thinking about doing adopting a trail?
I've got a trail, but not through AMC, through the White Mountain National Forest. So I have Forest Discovery Trail off the Kinkamangus.
That's right.
And then I work with Liz on Halebrook too.
Oh, that's right.
Awesome.
Right. I forgot about that. That's in the notes here. So, all right, we'll talk about that in a little while. But the other thing is, I forgot to talk about is we skipped over this, Nick. I'm going to give out the notable hike of the week early this week, and I'm going to give it to our friend Dave Shits in the Woods. He's finally going to get the notable hike of the week because even though I shouldn't give it to him because he should have like given us content when he was here last time. But for the listeners, if you're curious, Dave is on the Appalachian Trail. So he set foot he was at Amicalola Falls at the Arch on, was it Sunday, Izzy? Do you know what day he started?
I believe it was not the first, and the first was Sunday. He flew down on Sunday.
Okay, so maybe
I think he might have started yesterday. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was, he did the approach trail. I think he might have stayed at like that, whatever that inn is there for one night. And then he did the approach trail. And then last night he was texting us from his hammock. So he is on the trail and his plan is to hike the entire Appalachian Trail. So we will have updates from Dave when we can, and then we'll update everybody on progress. But as far as I know, he was 0.2 of a mile onto the trail the last time I got a proof of life from him. So we're excited. I'm inspired, and we'll see how it changes him when he gets back.
Oh yeah, I'm stoked. It's gonna be cool following his journey.
Maybe he'll come back with a beard.
He might, yeah. An even longer beard. He'll be like Rip Van Winkle. So what I'm obsessed about is what his trail name is going to be, because he's not going to tell us. He'll get a trail name, but he won't fess up because he won't even tell me his last name.
He also specifically told us not to reach out to anybody that are AT hikers this year to try to get any influence over his name. I said if his name wasn't Snow Leopard, I was going to be upset.
That's that would be a good one. So. But yeah, no, we're excited for Dave, and I definitely want to try to connect with him. Probably, maybe a section in Massachusetts or Vermont. I want to do some of those pieces. So we'll see when he gets up here. But proud of him, and he's living his best life, and he's a great guy. And we'll hear more about Dave when we talk to Izzy later. But so you get the notable hike of the week, Dave. So you've been now no pressure now, but now that you're a slasher notable hiker of the week, then that's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll get to hear from him live on the trail from time to time. I was upset that he didn't want to pack his new microphone with him and take that along with all his sound equipment.
He's got like 40 pounds of gear.
I'm like, he's got, I was going to tease him because his base weight was like 36 point something pounds. I'm like, you could have fit a microphone in there and like a cable or something else.
Yeah. He must be like... Yeah, if he's taking a hammock too, like he must be... A hammock's a little more heavy than a lot of the thru hikers use those Dyneema tents, the ones with the hiking poles that are like 1.5 pounds. So he's going to be a little heavier, I'm guessing.
When we have him on, we'll have to do like a what's in his pack situation. I'm curious what he took with him.
Yes. I hope if any AT hikers are listening and you meet Dave, you have my permission to put rocks in his backpack at any time.
And also, if you find out his trail name, if he has one and he's dodging telling us, then you can reach out and maybe we'll pay you a small sum of money discreetly.
Yeah, I did find out his last name, by the way.
Oh, did you?
I did, yeah. Through the Alzheimer's.
Oh my gosh!
Right.
I'm gonna have to look now.
Yeah.
This is like
it's
the science
generic. You almost feel bad.
Kramer used a charity to find somebody's name. This is exactly what happened.
Right.
My guess was going to be you typed in and you created like some sort of ChatGPT bot to look up his name for you, and then you've had it going for 3 weeks, and it finally found it on the Alzheimer's site.
It's so generic too. It was so disappointing. So it's like whatever the opposite. There's like Izzy Risitano on one end, and then Dave's name on the other. So
yes.
Oh man.
Anyway, all right, Nick. What's next?
So, kind of referring back to, I guess, a little bit of what's going on. March 1st was the 115th anniversary of the Weeks Act being passed in 1911. So that's the whole act that created the White Mountain National Forest, in addition to everything else.
Wow, cool. Nick, it's funny that you would bring that up.
Yeah, is it?
I just happened to have a little time carved out for some White Mountain history.
Do you, Mike?
This is totally spontaneous and was not planned whatsoever.
Great, I'll put the drop in here.
Okay.
Let's dive into some White Mountains history, shall we?
All right, so here we go. Get ready. We're going to go back in time. It's story time, people. Story time. Okay. So get ready. So this essay is entitled 225,000 Acres, The Night the Mountain Began to Change Hands. Oh, the night the mountains began to change hands. So anyway, this year marks another anniversary of the Weeks Act of 1911, so it's 115 years. So this law allowed the federal government for the first time to purchase forest land in the eastern United States. To understand what that meant, not just in Washington, D.C., but on the ground here in New Hampshire, we'll take you back in time. Actually, we'll start in Boston on November 19th, 1914, about 3.5 years after the Weeks Act was passed. The Appalachian Mountain Club is holding its 325th corporate meeting. The setting is in the hall of the Boston Society of Natural History on Berkeley Street. It's in a formal lecture space frequently used by the club in this era, so AMC meetings were typically held in Boston, often in Huntington Hall or at the Society of Natural History's building. So these are high-ceilinged rooms equipped with lantern slide projection where scientific lectures and alpine reports were delivered to attentive audiences seated in neat rows of wooden chairs. On this particular evening, the records note simply the weather being very stormy. So typically these meetings would draw up to 150 members. On this night, only 61 members made it through the wind and rain that evening. The president, Walter Jenney, presides over the meeting. The meeting opens up in a steady cadence of typical AMC governance. So a gentleman by the name of Henry Perkins rises first. So Perkins was a long-serving member, deeply involved in the club's publication efforts. He reports on the preparation of the new edition of the Guide to Paths and Camps in the White Mountains. So this is the club's authoritative trail manual before the White Mountain guide existed. So the work he notes was entirely volunteered. He talks about the receipts exceeding expenditures by exactly $193.16. He's a very careful civic bookkeeping guy, and his mountain stewardship is expressed through these ledgers as much as his boots. Next up was Lewis Cutter. At this meeting, Cutter was a Boston attorney, an active club member with a particular interest in topography and mapping. So he discusses the new map of the Southern Presidential Range, where they identify Crawford Notch, the Saco and Ellis River. They identify the Mount Washington Carriage Road on this map. He describes the waterfalls with measured precision, talks about Ripley Falls, 110 feet, Tuckerman, 140 feet. And through this presentation, the White Mountains are being rendered in contour lines and elevations through all the work that they had done through surveying over the last couple of years. Next up was a gentleman named Edward Stevens, who was associated with the club's trustee of real estate. So Stevens describes the new stone hut that was built at Carter Notch. Stevens was involved in overseeing the physical improvements in club properties. Lantern slides show the structure, one of several camps that the club had erected. So the AMC basically was moving towards building out what we now know as Carter Hut. This was just one iteration of a couple of different versions of Carter Hut, but this one was a stone hut that was built in that area. So a lot of talking about mapping, measuring, improving, accounting. And then the final presenter of the evening was a gentleman named Alan Chamberlain. Chamberlain was one of the most influential figures in the club's early 20th century history. He was born in 1865. He was a Boston businessman by profession, and he served as president of the Appalachian Mountain Club beginning in 1906. He was deeply engaged in the national conservation movement and supported federal forest protection in the East at a time when the idea was controversial. So he worked alongside advocates who believed that unchecked logging in the White Mountains threatened not just scenery, but the economic stability of New England's river towns. He was not just a simple member, he was part of a generation attempting to redefine the relationship between private land, public good, and federal authorities. So now, as they stood 3 years after the passage of the Weeks Act, he reported the results. So he speaks, and the record tells us that his quote was, "The present status of the National Forest in the White Mountains purchased by the government under the Weeks Act of 1911, 225,000 acres have been purchased at the cost of $2 million. He loads up a projection on the map and runs through the areas that are purchased. So the strategic watershed lands include the high slopes of the Presidential Range feeding the Saco, the Androscoggin and the Ammonoosuc rivers, tracks in the Pemigewasset Basin along the East Branch and near Franconia Brook, heavily logged terrain vulnerable to erosion, land towards the Wild River and Androscoggin headwaters near Gilead, up near Evans Notch, parcels around Crawford Notch in the southern presidential peaks, Mount Washington, Mount Adams, Madison. So the Weeks Act was not just about the land, it was also about water. So Congress justified it under the Interstate Commerce Act, and the flooding and river damage from the deforest slopes affected downstream communities across state lines. So the act authorized up to $2 million nationwide, or up to $9 million nationwide. So the AMC was able to work to get $2 million of that appropriated from the U.S. Treasury and allocated through the National Forest Reservation Commission. The government did not seize the land. It bought it from timber companies and private owners. Before 1911, there were no national forest in the eastern United States. So when Chamberlain tells 61 storm-dampened members that 225,000 acres have been purchased, he's describing something that's unprecedented, the beginning of the federal government buyback of the eastern mountains. The sequence of the evening was, again, talking about guidebook labor, the mapping and waterfall measurements, the hut construction, and then they end it with this federal forest acquisition. For decades, AMC members had written about the slash fires, erosion, and degradation of the White Mountain watershed on the pages of Appalachia journals, and now in the Lantern Light, Chamberlain traces the outlines of land already shifted into public ownership and points to what remains to be added. So outside, rain strikes the windows of the Berkeley Street Hall. Inside, the headwaters of the Saco and the Pemi are quietly becoming national forest. The storm may have reduced attendance to 61, but the mountains were changing hands all the same. And in that dark hall, orderly, methodical, illuminated by projected maps, the future White Mountain National Forest was already taking shape. So that is my history essay, Nick and Izzy.
Very lovely.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. It's always funny. I mean, a lot of people have mixed feelings on the AMC, but I didn't realize the AMC was completely instrumental in creating the White Mountain National Forest, so that's pretty neat.
Yeah. Yeah, the Weeks Act. I forget what the deal is. My recollection is that there was like river gauge readings that were, the rivers were overflowing in certain areas, which was causing erosion down into sections of New Hampshire. And I think because the river gauges exceeded a certain level, that the tests that they were able to do that was part of the justification for being able to authorize the purchasing of it. So,
I didn't know
Very
that.
cool.
yes. So anyway, that's our little tribute to the Weeks Act here.
Awesome. And so speaking of sort of all those little river towns and stuff, this one's always eluded me, and I finally had to look it up today. So Intervale. Wasn't sure. So it shows up on addresses for a lot of things. We're going to, just a little preview. I went to Ledge Brewing Co., which is references being in Intervale. We were at a place over the weekend staying that was in Intervale, despite being in Bartlett. So I had to finally look up what the deal was with this. So Intervale is not an incorporated town in New Hampshire. It's an unincorporated community in Carroll County, located between the towns of Bartlett and Conway in the Mountain Washington Valley. Even though Intervale has its own zip code, it does not have its own municipal government, and it's governed by surrounding towns. So I think of it akin to if you grew up in Rhode Island or anywhere along the Blackstone River in Massachusetts, there's tons of mill towns. Some people, like my grandmother, actually would still write her village of Ashton instead of Cumberland on her address. There's Berkeley, kind of if you're in that area, and a few different others. So to me, it seems sort of akin to that, where it's sort of a village and then towns came up around it. But it sounds like you might have a little bit more information for that about.
I
Mike.
do, yeah. I just happen to have a little bit more history, shockingly. But yeah, for people that aren't familiar, Intervale is essentially like, so if you're going up 16, you go through North Conway, and when you exit North Conway, like you're heading up towards Jackson and Storyland and heading towards like Mount Washington, Intervale is basically the section of 16 where like Fox Run condominiums are there, the Scarecrow Pub, and then up into right before Jackson. So it's kind of in between. But yeah, that whole there's a whole mix of things around North Conway. So basically, there's three actual towns. There's Conway, Bartlett, and Jackson. So those are the municipalities. They've got town halls. You pay your taxes there. They've got the school systems, all the official stuff. And then everything else that you'll hear North Conway, Center Conway, Redstone, Kearsarge, Intervale, Glen. Those are all villages, so they're not separate towns. They're like neighborhoods. They just have like more identity and history to them. So in Conway, you've got five and a half. You've got North Conway, which is the big tourist center with the shops and the restaurants and outlets. Then you've got Center Conway. So instead of going like left on 16, if you stay on 302 through Conway Center, then you'll continue up into Center Conway. And that's like right before Freiburg, so I go through there quite a bit. Then you got Redstone, which is like behind Walmart, North Conway, out to 302. And then you've got Kearsarge, which is like a small residential village, which is over, I'm assuming it's over by Kearsarge North. And then you've got that part of Intervale. Intervale is a weird one because it's split between two towns. The other one that's got a bunch of villages is Bartlett. So Bartlett has Bartlett Village, which is like the center of town that you go to where like Bear Notch Road is. Then you've got Glen, which is where Attitash and Storyland are. And then you have the other half of Intervale, which is like, I think a little bit before like the Dairy Queen in the intersection where you turn off to Storyland. But Intervale is like weird because it's one place, but it exists in both Conway and Bartlett. So it's the same village, but different town governments depending on which side you stand on of Intervale. So, and then otherwise there's Jackson. Jackson's pretty straightforward. It's basically one main village. So yeah, it just comes down to weird history. So in the 1800s, these were like little farming communities and railroad stops and mill sites and quarry operations. But they had post offices. So that's the big one. So if your place had its own post office, it got its own name. So I'm assuming that these neighborhoods would have post offices because they needed them to give jobs to these people. So every little corner had a post office. And plus it was longer trips that you're doing horseback back then. So everybody had post offices. So that's the big reason why all these locations have their own names. So anyway, but North Conway's the big one, obviously, but it's part of Conway. And yeah, that's basically it. So in the county level, that doesn't really matter much. It's really at the town level. So Conway, Bartlett, and Jackson are the towns. Everything else is a village. And yeah, that's it. It gets messy. And then Conway, the history on the name there is it was named after a British general and politician named Henry Seymour Conway. He was part of the British political elite. And in 1865, Governor Benning Wentworth named it after him. They must have been drinking buddies or something. Who knows? And then the other ones, Intervale is essentially like an old New England word meaning a flat, low-lying meadow along a river. So it basically refers to like the floodplain along the Saco. And then a glen is just a narrow valley. So
that's funny you mentioned Wentworth because I think there's a Wentworth Golf Club that's actually in Jackson too.
There is.
I think that must be the name.
Yep. Cool. So anyway, that's enough history. Jesus, how much history do you want me to do here, Nick?
I don't know. I appreciated the breakdown. I didn't even think about Glen until you mentioned that. I'm like, oh yeah, that's another one. Okay.
It's all spontaneous too. I didn't plan any of this out. It's all off the top of my head.
Brilliant. It's like an archive up there.
It is. It is.
Are you ready for Slasher's Beer Review?
All right, we want to talk about gear?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so do you know, Izzy, like the cooler maker Yeti?
I do, yeah.
Heard of that? Do you know, like, did you do, you're a young person, so did you do that thing where you have to make coolers for people? Like my daughter had to paint a cooler for her date at some event or something. You didn't do that?
What?
Was that a sorority thing?
I think it's a sorority thing.
I did not do that. Nope.
You guys
I'm just covered in stickers like everything else I own.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So anyway, well, my daughter had to paint the cooler for some reason. But anyway, Yeti is a popular cooler. So I had said she bought one of those cheap Igloo ones, but I was like, you should buy a nice Yeti one and just do what you talked about, is put some cool stickers on it, and then they'll have it for life because those things are really nice. Yeah. But Yeti is they have coolers and cups and all kinds of stuff, but they're known for like really rugged things. They've gotten into the backpacking manufacturing, I guess. I guess they bought a company that is called Mystery Ranch, that is a gear maker. And Mystery Ranch had a background in making backpacks. So Yeti has now, they've got a 60-liter and a 35-liter backpack, or 32-liter backpack. And they look pretty solid. They're heavy for sure, but probably worth checking out. I'd be interested to see what people think about them. I guess they actually do come in 32-liter, 40-liter, 50, and 60-liter. And they're a little bit heavy. The 32 liter is 3.3 pounds. The 60 liter is 4.6 pounds. So that's pretty heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy for a pack.
That's like Dave heavy. So, but I did read a couple of reviews here. This guy said that it feels undeniably Yeti. He says beefy is the word that kept coming back. It's overbuilt, over-engineered, but that's not a bad thing according to this reviewer. It's not lightweight. It's designed for comfort, stability, and durability over sheer speed. So fastpackers won't like it, but overall, he says that it's pretty high quality. So
I love this quote in here referencing the 60-liter backpack. It's saying the Scala 60 will probably outlast me, my grandchildren, and likely the apocalypse.
Right. Right.
Sounds like it's all mostly polyethylene with durable zippers. I mean, I did end up spending the money a few years ago on one of the Yeti coolers just because of how much we'd end up going away and trying to keep stuff cold. They are expensive. I think if you can get them on discount or you get them with a gift card, or I got mine through like a work point program sort of deal. Like they are pretty decent. There's a lot of other companies like Arctic that basically use the same technology in their coolers though, and they're significantly cheaper.
That's what I've got.
But they do make good products, albeit a bit expensive, probably too expensive, but
yeah.
There you go.
I know I always look at those Yetis and I'm like, it would be nice to have one, but I like my I've had the same blue and white Igloo cooler for years, and that thing, like we use that for like deep sea fishing. Like there's been haddock in that thing for, I think I left the haddock head in there one time for like, I still can't get the fish smell out of it.
Funkiness that won't go away.
Yeah. So whatever the plastic is in those Igloo coolers, things can like, I guess, embed into them and not leave. So anyway, but I'll put the link in the show notes if people want to check this out. I'd be curious to see if people pick this thing up.
Yeah, definitely.
What else do we have for gear, Nick?
So this was, I wanted to shout out listener Ashley K who messaged me. So I'd been remarking a couple times with taking Rylan out, my daughter, who's like 3.5, that, maybe she can't wear like sort of spikes or anything like that. And I was wrong. So I should have just searched Amazon. But she actually sent me a link to these ice cleats for kids, which have pretty rave reviews. And what I thought was funny in here is they actually have a picture of the spikes on the boots that I bought for my daughter, which is like this Mashosha or kind of off-brand thing on Amazon that for kids. But I actually picked up a pair. They're going to be coming in this week. I'm thinking we'll probably get at least a test run in on Wachusett or something before all the snowpack melts. Looks a little warm this weekend, but I think it's still going to be icy and stuff for quite a while. So I think we'll have a chance to sort of give them a test run. But they make them sort of through little kids for like toddlers all the way up through, it seems like 9-10-year-olds, at least shoe sizes. She's like a 10T right now, or a T10. I forget how the sizing actually goes, but pick them up and they basically look like little Catulas. So we'll see how they work, and hopefully they'll help her get some traction when she's going uphill on things like Willard or Wachusett or other stuff we check out.
Well, report back to us. I know over the years, Kim, Littlefoot's grandmother, I've seen her comment like over social media around the difficulty of finding traction gear for like little kids. Like they don't make snowshoes for little kids, and the spikes, you got to be careful. Obviously, like you don't want something too sharp because they're little kids, and then like I can't be that profitable. I mean, the market for selling traction devices for little feet is got to be pretty limited. Yeah,
the other thing that's tough, when I had looked before, even I forget what, it wasn't this brand, but a lot of people kind of remarked it's tough with kids because their feet can grow so fast. These ones seem like they're pretty stretchy, like they're across like sort of a breath. Like these ones are, I think, literally are from like almost the smallest shoe size they make for toddlers to like the biggest. So it's almost actually into like normal kid shoes. So yeah, we'll see how they go. and I imagine I'll strap them on. But I mean, to me though too, it's kind of good. Like anything else you want if you hope that your kid's going to want to do it, it's good for them to start learning how to do that stuff. If she's going to go hiking, like I think of it as my dad bringing me ice fishing probably when I was 4 or 5, like you start to get self-sufficient with those things. So, and if nothing else, she'll know how to do that, and maybe it'll be a useless skill, but if not, she'll be able to go winter hiking and strap those on herself.
Right. Do you think that she'll be one of those kids that is like, oh, I completed the 4,000 footers by the time I was 8 years old or something? I
don't know. I don't think so, but we'll see what happens. I'm not going to push her too hard, but she seems to like it right now and she enjoys it. So that's the fun. I think, we'll get into recent hikes, but I'm hoping next year maybe take her up to Pierce or something like that, and she'll be able to do it. I think she has enough energy to do it. It's just the focus, which obviously as a 3.5-year-old, it's you want to keep it fun. I don't want to make it not fun for her and ruin it for her, but you got to kind of play games and do stuff and keep them interested to get to that view.
Yeah.
Mostly just candy.
There's a meme going on like TikTok or Instagram. I forget what it is. It's like people will be like me when I was 10. My older cousin when I was 10 years old, and we were like pretending to do a play on Thanksgiving, and it's like this. It's this like audio that's like, do you really want to do this? Do you really want to do this? Yeah, and it's funny. Like I just picture that when you're like making your little kid like hike up a mountain or something. There's been memes going around too. I think I talked with Ash, but I think maybe I'll drop it on the Slasher page at some point in the story. But we took pictures of our son Ethan, who's like 4 months old, because he came up in the carry-on Willard, and he's making this like super like just exhausted, like I don't know, he just was off in space. He's looking at everything white like on Willard because it's just snowy, so he's very young, and I'm sure his eyes and the contrast was just wild compared to like the black trees and stuff and the white. But there's like ones where like forced or born into a hiking family like without your own choice kind of deal, and he was definitely in that vibe. He's like, what the hell are we doing up here? He's like, I just see this abyss below me and everything's white above. Like, what's going on here? Seriously, it's like marrying into the 5K family.
Yeah, the 5K families. Yeah. Anyways.
All right. So I was thinking about gear for the spring here. So last spring, Nick had a huge epiphany because he went hiking with me and Steve from the Cape on Liberty Springs, and it was raining out. And we both brought umbrellas, and he did not. He brought a raincoat, and he realized that the umbrella is the way to go because you don't get like soaked all over you do get a little wet on your feet or whatnot, but for the most part, we stayed dry, and Nick was miserable and wet. So yes. Are you going to get an umbrella this year?
I think I'm going to look at them. So kind of funny. Afterwards, I think when I was finishing the Belknaps, I forget which I'd finished on not row. I'm trying to think the one, I don't know. Anyways, that's not important. But when I was finishing that, it was a day that was pouring, and I actually brought a golf umbrella with me, like in April or May. And actually went, and I'm like, I like this umbrella life. It's nice because it was like pouring during part of it. And I'm like, I'm nice and dry. The only problem with a golf umbrella is it wouldn't work on most trails further up in the Whites because it is much too big. Yeah, on the Belknaps, it worked pretty well. Yeah. I mean, I think even there'd be some spots that would be tight, but it worked super well for me. So it was a lot better than just getting soggy and wet. And especially when you're in that shoulder season, like I think it was in April when you and Steve did that hike up to Liberty. And it I think we were being positive, but it was like pretty much pouring probably by the way down. And it was kind of cold and wet. Mike's like, it wasn't pouring in here.
My Kohl's umbrella. I loved it. So
yeah.
But my system is basically don't hike in the rain, number 1. Number 2, if you do hike in the rain, have an umbrella. And then I've used frog togs before. Those are pretty good. And rain pants I've tried a little bit. I know people talk about like rain kilts or whatever. I don't know, Izzy, do you have like
I was rocking the pants, but they're so loud I can't even carry a conversation. So I kind of stopped with them.
Really? It's like whoosh, whoosh.
Yeah, they're ridiculous.
I'm telling you, I feel the only time the umbrella's an issue is if you go above tree line and it's windy. Like that, it's not going to work. But otherwise, like if you're down inside the trees, it's perfect. So just a small one though. Yeah. So check it out. I highly recommend it. I'll put some links in the show notes too. There's a couple of hiking umbrellas. I know Steve, our friend Steve, got one that's ultra light compared to mine.
You have like a Gossamer gear one, I think, right?
Yeah.
Does Hyperlight have one too?
They do, yeah. They do. The one thing I will say about the umbrellas is like I've seen people that fiddle around with like the shoulder mount thing. I just hold mine.
Steve tried that, I think, and didn't have a ton of success.
Yeah, I don't like it. Although I can get one of those hat ones. I used to have one of those hat.
I don't know if I'm going to hike with you if you wear that.
It's a little ridiculous. Anyway, all right. And then next up, Forrest sent us a note here, inspired by your Thule cargo carrier. So Nick unlocked a dad achievement, and he got one of those Thule like car carrier things for his car. So he's so proud.
Coffin. That's big.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I got like the extra large one. So it's worked out really well for the 2 trips we've done. We used it again this weekend. But this is an angle I did not think of, so thank you, Forrest, for reaching out, as always. So he was mentioning another way your Thule cargo carrier can be useful. So I'm just reading from his emails, and I enjoy the way that he writes these emails to us, so here we go. Yo, dudes, heard that part about the new car top Thule unit. Certainly very useful. I used to have one on my hand-me-down wagon before I got my Tacoma. But there's an added benefit that nobody thinks of. Thule should even market this benefit, but they don't. It's like a safety helmet for your car. So during Irene back in 2011, a tree fell on my last Alston apartment. A tree behind my last Alston apartment came down in the high winds and landed squarely on top of my car. If it hadn't been for the cargo carrier, it would have destroyed the entire roof and likely the rear windshield too. Instead, the cargo carrier absorbed the entire impact and bounced back into shape, minus one cracked off piece in the back. Not too shabby considering how much worse and more expensive the damage could have been if not for the Thule box up there. And he did attach a photo and show it to us, and it's pretty remarkable that, like he mentioned, there's like a crack in the top of the cargo carrier, and it did just completely bounce back into shape. And it is like a full tree that fell on. It's sizable tree that, like he said, it probably would have crushed the canopy of the car. I would have thought just looking at the size of the tree, but evidently the Thule cargo carrier did absorb it and kind of reflect it back. So pretty neat. Didn't think of that angle, so thanks, Forrest.
That's pretty good. I may have to do that next time I'm in high winds. I'll put my Thule up on my my Subaru and pray that it doesn't get ruined.
There you go.
I also at one point in life had an apartment in Alston, so I'm gonna have to find out where he lived, and maybe it was close by to my place.
There you go. You share paths.
Right. So, speaking of town names, like if you asked me the difference between Brighton and Alston and where the line is between those two, I would have no idea. And I lived there for like 5 or 6 years. So, but
I don't know. That's not my territory, but I can tell you Rhode Island, like where I grew up, it's so many mill towns and stuff everywhere, and it gets annoying. Like my cousin Rachel, who I love, but there's like Pasco, and then is actually in Barville, and it's funny how it's the same deal though. They all sprung up because these mill towns, and then they were incorporated into bigger towns later. So
right, yeah, we have the same thing. So there's like a part of Raleigh where I live called Byfield. That's I don't know, one section. And then in Haverhill, like there's always this big joke about Haverhill where people will live in Bradford, which is like a nicer section of Haverhill. And they'll always say, I'm from Bradford instead of Haverhill. And we're like, dude, you live in Haverhill. Get over it. Get over yourself.
Yeah.
We all know that hiking a mountain can be hard at times. So here's a corny dad joke to help you get over it. Ba-dum-bum.
All right, Izzy, why did the snowman want a divorce?
I don't know.
Because he thought his spouse was a flake. It's a dad joke. So
very nice. That wasn't one of the best ones, I have to say.
I tried.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I literally don't even. I open the page and I read what comes up. So.
Not taking any credit for that one, huh?
Yes.
At least you had the book ready to go today.
I did. Usually I have to bend over. I got a new chair, so I can't really read anymore. All right. So if you want free stickers, you can go ahead and do that at the Mountain Wanderer and Spinner's Pizza Parlor in Andover. And then it sounds like we're whipping up to get a new patch order. So stand by on that. Nick sent over a long text, and I was like, I can't deal with this right now. I got to email stuff. But yes, we can order patches. I agree. So, and then if you want swag, you can get swag at our Bonfire shop. Choose between our super popular hoodies, classic or V-neck tees, and more. The color selection is great, and they are priced to move. Help spread the word about Slasher and Represent Today. And then if you want to donate to Slasher's Buy Me a Coffee, donations help us pay for web hosting, distribution, and live events. And then you can also, if you donate and you tick this little small box, you could do a monthly donation, which is impossible to cancel. So go ahead and do that. And then for one night only, coffee donations will go towards Izzy's purchase of a brand new MacBook because hers is from 20 years ago, and it sounded like an airplane taking off when we started.
Oh, that was so embarrassing.
Thank God it settled down. So,
and also noted, if you do regularly donate, you reach Slasher Senator status, which has a title. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, hold my beer. It's time to find out what Mike and Stomp are drinking. On this week's Beer Talk.
And this is the part of the show where we talk about what beer we are drinking, and I'm not actually drinking a beer, I'm just drinking water.
So everybody else I don't have a beer either tonight.
Also just drinking water.
Okay. All right. I've got some seltzer, but I did want to shout out to a brewing co that I finally checked out. So after we finished our Pierce hike, get out with my wife Ash, and it was her first hike that she's gone out for a while with, and she did awesome. But she was saying, hey, we finished early, and our parents, well, my mom and her mom and dad, still had our kids, and she said that I owed her a beer. So we checked out Ledge Brewing over in Intervale, aka Bartlett, or maybe Conway, depending on where it is. I think it's in the Bartlett side of Intervale there. But they were awesome. So they're Ledge Brewing and Tacos over there in sort of a business park. And they had really good beer. They had good tacos. We got some tacos. And they had some really beautiful photos in there of the whites that, as a photographer, I was admiring, and some really nice prints. So go check them out if you're in the area. And I know a lot of you I don't really go home 16 unless I'm kind of hiking in that area usually. Usually my side's more the Lincoln side. So it's cool to check out some of those new little places, and it's great. I would imagine if you're riding home from like hiking Washington from the Tuckerman side or the Carter's, Wildcats, Mariah, that whole area. It's a nice sort of in-between stop before you head back to the road.
Did you drive past Wontons?
I did drive past Wontons.
Iconic. You got to go in there someday.
So I literally talked about this on the way home, and we're looking at Wontons, and the other one was, is Pizza Barn good? Is that worth?
I've never been there. I've driven by it about 100
place looks
times.
Interesting. Yeah, there's Harvey Jack's. There's a bunch of places over there we've never checked out.
The Wakefield Diner too. Did you see that one?
Yeah, we did. I don't know if I noticed that one. I saw Yankee Smokehouse or whatever too. I've heard people shout that one out.
Supposedly Justin Timberlake went to Wakefield Diner with who's he married to? Izzy? Who's his wife?
Oh gosh.
She was in Seventh Heaven. I can't remember
I'm not
her
going to
name.
get it.
Yeah, I can't remember. But anyway, Justin Timberlake. They were there for a wedding or something, and they stopped in at Wakefield Diner. So.
Such an odd claim to fame.
Yes. Anyway, but Ledge Brewing. So we will be, I haven't gone there yet, but we will be going there for the after hike celebration for Alzheimer's on the 13th.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it'll be there this year. So cool spot.
I knew we should have gone left back there.
Stomp, don't worry. I know it's this way. I've got a feeling in my gut.
Are you sure you're not about to have a bowel emergency?
Totally. We got this.
But I just blew out my hip. Fell down that gully with my 40-year-old microspikes.
Suck it up, Stomp. It's 4 p.m. We're at 3,500 feet. We got 9 miles back to the parking lot. Your leg may be broken. We got no cell connection, and we can't feel our fingers. But we're finishing all of my list tonight. By the way, I need some water. I'm empty.
I would if I could see what I'm doing, but my headlamp batteries are dead.
You gotta be kidding me. What a chump. This is the last time I hike with you.
Whatever, mister. Do you know me? I have a podcast.
Whatever.
Let's find out what Mike and Stomp have been hiking.
All right. Now is the part of the show where we talk about recent hikes. So, Nick, do you want to start?
Sure. I'll start. We have a little bit of overlap here, but I was up in New Hampshire over the weekend and made a long weekend. We took Monday off and kind of went up Friday. So on the way up on Friday, we hit Willard earlier in the afternoon. So with Ash, my daughter Rylan, and little Ethan finally got sort of his first hike up to a New Hampshire peak. So that was a lot of fun. Ash had him in a little carrier. Rylan made it most of the way up. I was pretty stoked on how well she did. I think I carried her on my back for 250, 300 feet. She made it most of the way up, and then she actually jogged like the 1.6 miles or whatever down, and I was running to catch up with her at one point, so that was pretty cool. Had decent views, kind of a high cloud ceiling. Done Willett a bunch of times, so kind of know the deal with it, but really beautiful views. It was snowing on top. It wasn't too cold, not too windy, so that was great. On Pierce, we hooked up with a pretty large crew, including Mike. I know Caroline and Devin came with you. I think we had Paul Gamel, we had Jake and Peter, and we had Steve. So we had a really good crew up to Pierce, and of course we had my wife Ash, who was kind of making a return to the trails after a hiatus and pregnancy and all that good stuff. So we had a really fun time up there. We dodged the weather coming in by I think like an hour. As far as views, I think we got started at like 8, and pretty much by the time we were coming down around 12:30, it was snow squalling and kind of windy, and it seemed like the cloud ceiling dropped. So that was a bunch of fun. And then just did some skiing and snowboarding with the family at Black Mountain on Sunday. That place is awesome, by the way. I love Black Mountain. Yeah. Like the vibes there. It's got a pretty good variety of trails from diamonds to like some backwoods stuff with trees in it. Had a lot of fun. The snowpack was great. They were making snow while we were there. The lodge was perfect. We'll definitely be back there. So brief aside, not hiking related, but I loved Black Mountain. And then I actually hiked the Doubleheads on Monday morning before leaving. Have done those.
You got up there.
Yeah. I ended up I didn't do sunrise. I wimped out on that because it was like -11 or something. And I'm like, I just don't feel like sitting there for like 20 minutes waiting for that to happen. Right. Even though there's some nice eastern facing. The thing is there's nice eastern facing viewpoints there, but there's nothing perspective wise that's super interesting. Like the one off South Doublehead, you can kind of see, I think, the bald faces in the back of Shelburne Mariah, but you can't really, like, there's not much definition. I'm sure it would still be beautiful up there for sunrise. But yeah, I did get up. It was like -5 degrees, but the trail was completely packed. I went up the ski trail.
Oh, you did the ski trail?
Yeah, there's no way. It's funny because there was like a sign. I'm looking at it because they had a couple signs about like you should snowshoe, not post hole. But I'm like, I would have needed C4, I think, to potentially to post hole through that thing. It was frozen solid after kind of a little bit of a warm up. Forgot how steep the final like 0.3 miles is. It's like 500-600 feet, but made decent time up there. Checked out the cabin, took some pictures and stuff, and then it was still packed, but a little bit looser across to sort of where the coal was between the two was a little drifted. Went up to South Doublehead, checked out that ledge, that kind of the big ledge with Washington. Went towards the back, a little bit looser over there. Kind of post-holed a few times up to my thigh. Looked like only snowshoers had really been out there, but it was pretty packed. Checked out, it didn't realize too, you have a really nice view looking down at Cranmore. It just had been a while since I've been up there, and Kearsarge North is like right in front of you. And then kind of just scurried back down. I did not go down the new path because it looked like it had not been broken out that well. And went down Old Path, which I actually hadn't been down before, which is equally as steep going up to that coal for the final 200-300 feet, and made it back down. So yeah, that was my weekend. Just some nice little hikes, and it was cool looking down at Black Mountain after skiing there the day before too. So, nice clear views. It was great.
Yeah, oddly enough, I did the Doubleheads like the weekend before. So I was up there with the J crew, Julie, Jake, and Jay, and we did it on the Saturday, the weekend before on Saturday, and we went up Old Path, and then cut over to whatever the Doublehead that has the cabin on it, and then we went. North. We didn't see any views on that. And then we went back over to the other summit, and then we did get views down into Jackson and Black Mountain, and then we butt sledded down the new path, and just made it back down. But it was super steep, the new path. It was so we had broken it out the week before, but I'm assuming snow came in and probably covered it all up.
Yeah, it's pretty deep in there. Excuse me, even though it's not that up high. I mean, I went thigh deep like once, but it's really pretty.
Yeah. And then, it was a dime of a day on Saturday for Pierce with the crew, and awesome views, and then awesome sledding down. I brought my sled with me this time, and so I was ripping down the trails.
Yeah, and shout out to Peter and Jake went across and grabbed Eisenhower, kind of with that weather moving in. The winds actually weren't really that bad on Pierce. I think it got probably exponentially worse the higher up you went. I think they got blasted over Eisenhower, but good job, guys, grabbing it both for winter, with sort of the inclement weather coming in. Right.
All right, Nick, why don't we skip the notable listener hike of the week just because I gave it to Dave, and we can push all this stuff to the next episode. And then we'll
sure, and I was going to ask, Izzy, have you been up to anything?
Yeah, I've done a weird variety lately. Last thing I did is got it on skis up the Tuckerman Ravine Trail. went up to the base of Hillman's Highway, so we went slightly past Hermit Lake Shelter and took a good look, and everything was super wind scoured, and we saw a couple avalanche lines, so we just went down from there, down the John Sherburne Ski Trail, so that was a blast. Then I've been working on the 50 finest list over in the Monadnock area. So Liz and I did a couple of those last week. We did both beach hills. There's one in Dublin, and there's one in Keene. They're both pretty short. And then we went over to Highlands Hill as well, which was interesting because it was all broken out by some sort of an off-road vehicle up to the telephone. I don't know. There was some sort of monitoring station up top. Not sure what it was, but those all three of those were on the Fire Tower list and the 50 finest list. And then last weekend I got out for Turtleback out in the Ospes and Falls of Song. It was a beautiful day out there, but a lot of snowmobilers, so we were constantly stepping off trail for them around the switchbacks. But I think of all of those, like the 50 finest has been great this time of year because I don't need to drive so far.
Nice.
Where's Turtleback? Like in that Castle of the Clouds like type area?
Yeah, it's over there.
Okay.
It kind of sits right under like Black Snout and Shaw. You have great views of those.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
over in that
gotcha.
area.
Cool.
It's time for Slasher's Guest of the Week. Very cool, very cool.
So why don't you just introduce yourself, give a little bit of background, and then so you were a referral from, so Dave and Liz have been on the show before, so the listeners are familiar with them. Talk a little bit about I guess introduce yourself and then talk a little bit about how you connected with Dave and Liz.
Yeah, right on. So like we said, I'm Izzy, online on New England Trail Conditions and my website. I'm Where's Izzy, and I'm from the same very small town in southern New Hampshire as Dave and Liz. Growing up, like I knew both of their kids, was really close with Liz because my mom's friends with her. And, we started hiking around the same time. I think she was 5 into her 48 and I was 3 into my 48 when we were at, our son's grad party. And it's like, oh, we should probably start doing some of these together. So, she knew Dave because he'd done some work over at her house and, that's a very small town too. And they started talking as they're, I think, working on her bathroom. And he's like, oh, you guys should do the tri-pyramids up the slides. And, like, I'm so scared of heights. And the terrifying 25 still, like, rustles me up to this day. And so we went out and we did that. And ever since then, that kind of trauma bonded us. And we've done some really cool hikes since then. And Liz and I finished our 48 together. And Dave threw together an awesome route for us when we did that. And anytime the three of us get together, it's for a ridiculous backpacking trip, and we have a blast, and we've all been, really supportive of the list that each other are working on, but more importantly, we always have the same principles of fun when we go out for a backpacking trip, and it's never boring, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, it never is with those two for sure. They're always like, they like to play pranks on me, so I'm assuming they probably do the same to you.
Yeah, I sometimes have an easier time getting them. I can get them with a shock value a lot. I mean, it's a weird dynamic. People see us out and they think that we're a family because we look like one.
Right.
Right. I don't know if you mentioned I'm 22. Like I'm younger than both of their oldest kids, and we hang out like we're friends. So the shock value we can bring with the things that we'll say to each other are always pretty funny.
Nice. And then you have a website, but I was on your blog, like you actually did a really nice job with chronicling all of your 4,000 footers. So at what point along the way did you decide like, oh, I'm going to make a blog site about this and track everything? Was that after you had completed the 4,000 footers, or were you doing that along the way?
Yeah, it was well after. So after I finished my 48, I sat on top of Bond Cliff and I was like almost disappointed. I was like, okay, what's next? And as I was going through my options, I knew I could do the 52 with a view or the New England 67 or something. I thought redlining encompasses almost anything I could possibly do. Like I will cover all those mountains while doing all these trails. So as I started doing more and more of them and needed to remember, sure, I've done Shakora, but I need to do it 5 times to hit all of the trails logically. I wanted to remember it and I wanted to journal it, but without, friends and family to hold me accountable to like, oh, you didn't write about your hike, I knew I wasn't going to do it. So I decided to launch the website, and now since then, it's somewhere to post really crazy route ideas for other redliners and post general conditions updates or where to park for some bushwhack that's on private land. And now it's informative, but also still my journal at the same time.
Right. Yeah. And I haven't gone through all of it, but I did go through the 4,000 footer, and I was looking at it. I was like, this is like a real good roadmap for people to reference, because like you just have you have the hikes together in a logical way where I think most people would kind of connect the peaks together in a similar way. So it's really informative for sure. And then how did you just get into hiking overall? Like what prompted that?
Yeah, I think something that's super important for people that are kind of in that college, post-college area is finding a lifelong sport. So, I wasn't a collegiate athlete, but I did 8 years of cross country in school before that. And it was such a natural transition from cross country because I was never super fast, but I had the cardio, but more importantly, like I had the stubbornness, I had the mindset for endurance sports. So we used to run with some of the girls from Manchester Central on my cross country team. And some of them started posting that they were like hiking Osceola. And I was like, oh, this is a cool picture. Like, I want to go and I want to do the Osceolas. And
I want that Graham.
That's exactly
right?
what I saw. And I remember telling them that after I finished the 48. And so me and my best friend, Michelle, went and we did it. And in the car ride home, I'm like, there's only 46 more of these. Like, what if I did it before college for a fun fact? And she's like, we know people who've been doing this for 5 years. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not telling you it won't happen, but just letting you know, like it's hard. And I'm like, it can't be that hard. So then I did it in the next 13 months, I think it was, and I have never looked back. It got so addicting right after that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know it definitely it takes over your life for sure. But so you ended up doing this all through college too? Like you didn't because I spent my whole college career just like being drunk and stupid.
I was doing this throughout all of college. I mean, every single October, I would spend every Saturday night in a tent, whether I was on a trip or I was teaching a mountain leader course that I did through my college. I was always camping, and I hiked at least once every single weekend. I definitely let it rule my life a lot. Did not have a normal college experience at all with that.
Yeah. Honestly, though, like, because I went to school, like, out in Western Mass, and I was like, there's so much good hiking out there, and I regret that I didn't do that. So you're probably not going to look back at it with any regret.
Yeah, I was in northern Vermont, so it was a spot to be skiing and hiking all the time.
Right.
We could see Camel's Hump and Mansfield from campus.
Nice. So that's great. And then as far as, like, the evolution after the 4,000 footer, so you're into, like, the 100 highest and the 50 finest and doing bushwhacks and all this crazy stuff. At what point did things evolve to doing probably what I would term to be like less known hikes?
I think Liz had taken me up the Percy's shortly after we did our 48, and it was the first thing that really sparked me back after finishing the 48, that there's so much more, and there's better views but with less people. And then that's when I really went all in on, the whole redlining / tracing thing, and that's between the spreadsheet and the community around that and how specific you need to be in planning your routes and making sure that you hit every single 0.1 mile long spur and making sure you don't repeat too many things. That's really taken over my life. Anybody who knows me knows that if they ask me to do something on a weekend and it's, the summer months, they're coming with me tracing, and they've accepted that.
Wow. What do you think is like the craziest trace route that you've done?
I was thinking about this before I went into this, and I found a track on my Gaia simply called Nancy, where I started over on 302 at Nancy Pond Trail, went all the way up Nancy, back down Nancy, down to, what's the junction? Stillwater Junction, and then we went all the way down the Wilderness Trail, and then to Cedar Brook Trail, and then out Hancock Notch, and it was 22 miles just straight across the Pemi from 302 back to the Kankamangas.
Just in a green tunnel.
In a green tunnel. It was beautiful. It was completely beautiful, but I've done some really ridiculous routes. I think that was like an hour and a half long car spot one way.
Yeah, we probably didn't see too many people though.
I don't think I saw like anybody until we got back to Hancock Notch.
Wow. Nick, do you want to take over this next section? This is going to be fun.
Yeah, so Dave actually shot us some special questions to ask you just for this occasion because he wouldn't be able to make it here. So he didn't want to participate in that way. So we've got a couple of Dave-specific questions. So his first question was, have you ever needed to call for help while on trail?
Yeah, he's asking this because he knows exactly why, and he knows it's a teachable experience.
He may have alluded to that.
Yeah. I won't say who it was. It was not Dave. It was not Liz. But back in 2020, I was hiking with a friend of mine who had a heat related condition that I did not know about, and it was 85 degrees out. And we are doing Whiteface and Passaconaway, and we get up to the top of Whiteface, and she's dry heaving. There's no collar in her face, and I was with two other people who were way less experienced than me, so everything was definitely on me. It was scary. I didn't know who you called. I didn't know if it worked like regular 911. I was 18. I hadn't really been hiking 4,000 footers too long. And, ultimately we call 911, but all the rescue teams are busy because guess what? Everyone else having the same problem. It's 85 degrees out and it's like a Saturday in the White Mountains. So we keep calling thinking we're going to get some sort of immediate help. I keep calling the fire department. I'm like, it's Isabella from the Rollins Trail. That became a bit of a gag as I kept on saying that throughout the day. And eventually we did get some help, a lot of help actually, from the local fire departments. They are amazing in assisting with these search and rescues. And I don't think people understand that that's really who ends up coming out most of the time. If you're anywhere outside of those big trailheads and, Pemi and in the Androcoggan area, it's those local guys who are doing it. And
right.
We got some assistance and getting her sugar up and helping out with a carry out. And I think that given what I knew at the time, we probably did need to call. But I have since gotten my own wilderness first responder and seen so much more. And with my experience now, I never, ever, ever would have called for that because I would have had everything in my bag to stabilize her. And I carry a really ridiculous first aid kit now. That came with the training that I got through a really great outdoors program in college to kind of teach me to just always be overprepared because you're not the one who's ever using your first aid kit. You're using it for other people. So no matter how cautious you are, how well you know yourself, you'll be using it for a friend or a stranger who's really going to need it. So, maple syrup, electrolytes, all the salts, non-expired medicine, those things in your bag are how you prevent something as simple as heat stroke from potentially being a life-changing injury. So, call that one time. I hope to never call again. But yeah, it's not going to be fast. So make sure you have everything with you.
So was your friend sort of just dehydrated or didn't eat enough? Yeah,
she was having the early signs of heat stroke. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, good on you for some quick thinking and at least knowing that kind of in that situation again.
And being aware of people's pre-existing conditions is also very important.
Right. And then also the other thing about that too is these group hikes, a lot of times you'll have people that don't want to say, they don't want to show weakness or whatever. And now it's I always check in with although I will say one time I pushed my friend Jay a little bit too far on the bald faces, but I had work to do. But I do check in. I'll be like, are you okay? Let's slow it down. But you don't initially think to do that until you kind of have had an incident. Yeah. It's important to act like you're the one who needs to stop. You're the one who needs water. You're the one who needs food because it makes them feel comfortable enough to actually do it. Yes.
So those are the kind of things you learn. You don't learn until you're leading a trip and you see how effective it is for people who aren't going to speak up.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a tough psychological balance. And even then, sometimes people just aren't going to say anything, and they don't, especially if they haven't hiked much before. So it can be really tough. Great. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
So on to Dave, question number 2. So what's your favorite out of redlining, aka tracing, or hiking, backpack, bushwhacking, if you had to pick?
Definitely not bushwhacking. I do that when I have to for a list, but redlining over a long backpacking trip, there's nothing like it. You can get out, 20 to 30 miles in a weekend and do it, and you get to camp the whole thing. You're sure your back's really going to hurt, but I think it's the best way to redline. So that combination is absolutely my favorite.
Cool. Yeah, I don't do as much backpacking as I should. I really haven't done much at all. So
it's tough to clear a whole weekend.
That's kind of inspiring. Yeah, I'm kind of just, I get out when I can and going back to the car usually, but.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nick's got 2 little kids too, so it's hard, but my kids are getting older now. I have less of an excuse, Nick.
Yeah, you should be out there doing this.
Well, I mean, my father-in-law's cabin is calling me every night, so that's why I'm like, I could sleep in the cabin instead.
Yeah, that's tough. So Dave, question number 3. Have you ever looked for a lost rabbit and stepped on a fellow hiker in Maine on the same day?
I would never do something like that. Like, maybe not unless the fellow hiker was like, maybe like 5'7" on a good day. I think that's the only way that something like that could happen. A rabbit, definitely not. No, nothing like that would ever happen.
Excellent. If you could time travel and give younger Izzy hiking advice, what would it be?
Do not hike on ski trails if you don't have to. Every family hike, not every family hike, okay, my parents are going to be listening to this. A lot of my family hikes when I was a kid, we would go up ski trails, and I thought that was what hiking was for a while, and that's so hard. So ridge trails all day. I don't like hiking up ski trails unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah, I think my first experience going down a ski trail was actually coming down Mount Mansfield in Stowe, because we're like, oh, we'll just go down around like Memorial Day. And number one, we were post-holing in snow, which sucked. Number two, you realize that ski trails are much steeper than hiking trails. The grade that you can go down with the skis or whatever, especially even if you're going down like a green circle, it is very steep compared to any hiking trail you're going to typically see out there.
They really are.
I get freaked out about like the tall grass too. I'm like, I'm getting covered in ticks.
And there's so many bees with the wildflowers too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. And then we got the final Dave question. And this is an important one, so you should think about it, even though Dave told us that the answer already. I didn't forget to phrase this from third person, so that was my fault. Who do you like hiking with better, Dave or Liz? And Dave said the answer is probably him, according to Dave. But you can answer honestly. He probably won't hear this anyways. He's on the AT.
No, he's totally going to listen to this.
Yeah.
I hike with Liz a lot more than I hike with Dave, so I got to give Liz the points on that. Yeah, every time I hike with Dave, it's an epic. But I think in terms of what I can handle on a regular basis, yeah, I hike with Liz all the time. So I got to give it to her on that. Girl power all the way.
Nice.
Awesome. I've hiked with Liz once, and it was, I think once, maybe twice, but it was a blast. So
she's a beast.
She didn't tell me my fly was down. I'm still sour about that.
We did ask Liz if she could tell you, but she felt that would be weird, given the dynamic of the group.
She should have just told me my fly was down. So
it's going to be 5 years later. You're still going to be mad about that.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Still upset.
All right. So we know you got the blog going. We know some of the lists you're working on. Any kind of goals outside of just kind of continuing to hike and list? You got any sort of big hiking trips, bucket list sort of items you'd like to get done?
I'm hiking abroad for the first time this upcoming year. So looking to do some hiking in Crete, over in Greece, and to do some hiking in Iceland as well. So I'm really excited for that. And I signed up for an ultra. So I think while I'm training for the Black Bear Ultras this upcoming August, I hope to put a good 10% of my trace down as well. So yeah, it's going to be a busy season. I think the tracing has gotten a lot slower now because everything I have left is really hard. But now that I can kind of do more miles, now that I'm doing my trail running when I can, I'm going to really be stacking them on in the Mahoosics and the Northern Prezzies where I'm short on miles.
Yeah, that Northern Prezzy. So our friend Peter, he finished his redline last year, and they had to do like a couple of sessions of just like that whole spider web of the Northern Presidentials, like over the RMC area. So that's always a tough grind, I guess, for redline.
Very redundant. I did a hike back in December where we stayed on the horizontal of about 3,200 feet the entire time. We did 12 miles just on that one band, and we did over 3,000 vert, even though we technically didn't really go up. There's so many trails over there.
Have you done the Parapet Trail yet on the lower part of Madison?
No, but I hated Pine Bend over Madison, so I know I'm going to despise that even more.
Yeah, that'll be.
I'm so scared of those kind of trails.
I did hear that somebody had cleaned it up, but I don't know. It was rough when I went on it. So also I was kicking myself because I'm like, why would I go on this trail when I could have just gone on that beautiful summit? It was like stupid.
You no
but
time.
Yeah,
people don't know that.
Yes, it saves you no time. So I learned the lesson there. So anyway, but no, this is great. I guess for the Iceland plan, do you have anything scoped out at this point? I can send you my details that I've been over there before.
Yeah,
it's a good. I did day hikes. It was fun.
That's the plan. We're gonna do a lot of day hikes. I mean, we're only there for 5 days, so definitely gonna need to be doing a lot of miles fast. But we want to see as much as possible.
Right. Yeah. So we kind of home based in Reykjavik, and then we would drive out. And like the nice thing is, depending on when you're going, if you're going in like August, September, or July, you have like almost 24 hours of daylight. So like sleeping for us was like we slept for like 3-4 hours, and then we would just get back up and go.
Usually my national park plan of attack is, get up as early as I can, get out before everyone comes, sleep during the day, rinse, repeat. So I think that's kind of what we're going to do, and sleep as little as we can get by with.
Right. So what's the vibe among the young college kids nowadays? So I got my kids, they talk to me a little bit, but not as much. But like, is there a lot of kids out there doing like outdoor stuff at this point, or were you kind of an outlier amongst your friends? Even though, I mean, you're in northern Vermont for school, so it's got to be a bunch of outdoorsy people.
Yeah, when I was at school, I was really involved with our adventure sports programs. So, like, those people were really all in, but I think the greater population of people that are kind of in that just post-grad era, they're starting to find what makes them tick after that they don't have partying as a crutch anymore. They're looking for something, whether it's half marathons or hiking. And I think I see a lot of young people in the backcountry skiing scene and the climbing scene. I think hiking is kind of something that they just do in the off season. Hiking is my main thing though, and I am starting to see more people my age out there, but it's limited. Like, it's a small community. We know each other at least by one mutual, if not directly.
Yeah. I do see a lot of young people in the summertime, but not so much in the winter. I feel like that's like a less common, but it is nice to see people out there. But that's great. No, my oldest daughter she's got like 12 or Nick's hiked with Caroline a bunch, but she's got like about a dozen more peaks to do, a 4,000 footer, and then we've got her. The funny thing is, like, you talk about when you were sitting on Bondcliff figuring out what's next. The other thing you find, and I'm sure you found this too, is like you find people that are like halfway through their 4,000 footer list or some other list, and then you just hop in with them, and it becomes like your mission is to get them done on what they're looking to do.
I've really enjoyed getting my friends through, especially with if there's a hike there's 4 ways to go up, and I've already done 2 of them, and I want to trace one, and they need it for their 4,000 footer. I'm like, hold that one for me. I want to do that with you, and I keep doing that with more and more people in my life that are working on it. It's been super fun to see it through their eyes.
Yeah, I feel like that's how people accidentally turn into gritters.
Yes,
is they help their friends like so many times, and eventually they're like, well, now I got my next adventure. So
it's funny. This got me thinking earlier in kind of what we were just talking about with the age groups and stuff, and kind of sort of people wondering what the heck like you, Dave, and Liz are doing with the varying ages of people on trail. And we were talking about this over the weekend up here, but I think hiking it's funny. It's one of those activities. Like I was saying, also I golf and used to golf more, but where you can sort of see this age range of people from like in their 20s to like all the way up through like even their 60s in the top end of our group. But it's kind of cool how like it tends to mesh these people of different age groups where you otherwise probably would never hang out with them. Yeah. And you end up learning about all this extraneous information. Like you guys just drop 80s stuff all in like early 90s when I was born kind of facts, like all the time. You end up like learning about these different references. Yeah. But it's a lot of fun. I think me and my better half probably started hiking actually not too around your age or a little bit later. So it's been something through our mid 20s that we've continued to do now into our mid 30s. So it's a great activity, and you end up meeting a lot of fun people for it. And like you said, it is really kind of a lifelong sport that, I mean, I run and stuff. So it's a lot more fun, I think, than running around the neighborhood. I kind of do that to be able to hike now and stay in cardio shape. But yeah, it's something you can do for a while as long as you sort of take care of your body, and it'll check your fitness level pretty quick if you're hiking up Madison or Adams or something like that. You'll have a pretty good idea of how your wind is.
Yeah. Well, Izzy, I got to say, as much as I would have liked to have yelled at Dave to say, how could you send us this horrible guest? Like, I have to give him credit. He hit a home run. You've been excellent.
Oh, thank you. He's had a lot of coaching, a lot of time talking out backpacking with Dave.
Right.
Awesome.
So that's awesome.
I look forward to your future blog posts. And if people are looking to follow you, reach out, you want to mention your Instagram?
Yeah, absolutely. So my personal Instagram is Izzy.Risitano. Come summer, I'll have a lot of stories about, what I'm working on. And I usually post the big routes. And then as for the patch, Mountains for Meals patch, New Hampshire.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about this.
That's out there on Instagram. Got all the information pretty easily laid out there, but I'll give it the quick.
Yeah, do you want to run down the Mountains for Meals patch really quick? Somehow we missed that. My bad.
Yeah, there was a lot to cover today. Mountains for Meals patch. So I've got 17 mountains. All of them are food related, even if it doesn't seem like it. I've got Sandwich and Cherry, but I've also got Liberty, because that's food insecurity related, and Garfield because it made me think of lasagna. Feel free to reach out if none of the names make sense. I'd be happy to answer any questions. They were chosen specifically. But with those 17 hikes that you need to do, you also just need to make a donation to the New Hampshire Food Pantry of any amount. Just, actually make one, because if you need to lie about that, you have some personal problems. And then I'll mail you a patch after you pay the fee, preferably Venmo, but I'll take whatever you need to send me. And I've got 100 patches made, and I've got 3 people who've done it. So I would love to get rid of the other 97 patches. And it's a great program to give back, and I really love the hikes on the list. So can't recommend that enough. And there's a tab on my website as well with information. So you'll find that on my website, where'sizzy.com, and the Instagram Mountains for Meals, New Hampshire.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I got to say, so I just need to do 10. So I'm just looking at the list right here. So I need to do 10, and then I think Bacon Ledge. And I've done every other one of them.
I think that a lot of people are going to have those 2 left. And even though they're both in kind of weird locations and they're shorter ones, they're both real fun. And there's so many other hikes you can do around those 2 to make a whole day out of it.
Yeah, I'll have to check those out.
It has great views.
So, wow, a new list. I didn't even know I was gonna. I'm gonna get a new list, a new patch with a little bit of work here. So
yeah,
but yeah, Tin Mountain. I feel like I've heard about that, but I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, there's a whole tin mine too. It's really cool.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That is fantastic. So, all right. So we'll make sure we put this link in the show notes. Anything else we missed?
I think that was it.
That was it. All right. Well,
Cool.
I'm impressed. I was an absolute drunk idiot when I was 22. I had nothing going on for me. You're so you got a whole website.
I was not as organized.
Look at this.
Well, it's funny when I go to
least.
job interviews, I talk about my hobbies more than my work experience. I think it speaks for my abilities better than what I've done so far. And I'm like, find me online. Everything's right there. I can write. I can organize. It's there.
Right. Exactly.
No, it's cool. It shows a lot of ambition and kind of ingenuity and stuff.
We did an inside hobby.
Nice. And you said are you starting a job soon?
This will be my second job out of school. I did that first one for a year that wasn't really speaking to me, and now I'm going into a new one that I'm much more excited about.
All right. Are you nervous it's going to take away from your hiking time?
No, I have unlimited PTO this time, so I think it's only going to add to it.
I have unlimited PTO too, but that's how they get you though. It's a guilt thing. I
had 2 weeks before though, so that was tough. So
okay, yeah. So at least you're not sweating if you have to take time. The thing that sucks about 2 weeks is you got to earn the time, and then you can't with unlimited. If you got to take a Friday off the first couple of months or something, it's no one's going to bother you.
Exactly.
So all right, well, hopefully it doesn't limit your work-life balance. That's key.
Absolutely,
that is key. Thank you so much, Izzy. So now we're just going to do you stick around for this. We're going to do a couple of search and rescue news here. Nick, do you want to crack these open? There's nothing too interesting here, I don't think.
Yeah, nothing too crazy, luckily. Did want to note, we've had 15 more snowmobile crashes since February 20th. So I was combing through the stories to find these. Seems like we'll have to do a total at the end of the season, Mike, and see how that's going. But it's just impressive. It's you just comb through these and... Couple SAR stories. So here we go. This was back on Sunday, February 22nd. Hiker rescued after suffering a medical emergency in Bethlehem. So Sunday, February 22nd at 2 a.m., New Hampshire Fish and Game is notified of a hiker suffering from an unknown medical emergency at the Zealand Hut in the White Mountains in Bethlehem. The hiker and his companions had left at noon on Saturday and had hiked into Zealand Hut to spend 2 nights camping at the hut. On Saturday night, the 21st, the 75-year-old of Acton, Massachusetts, began suffering from an unknown medical emergency. So pain and conditioning got worse as the night progressed. Staff at the AMC Zealand Hut ended up calling out for help when they realized the situation wasn't improving. The hiker was unable to walk without assistance and was able to walk with assistance, and his hiking partners were able to get him from the Zealand Hut 2.2 miles down the trail. So conservation on a snowmobile was able to get the last 4 miles out of trail on Zealand Road all snowed in. And then the injured hiker was taken to Route 3, where Twin Mountain Ambulance was waiting. The ambulance arrived at 5:05 a.m., and the hiker was transported to Littleton Regional Hospital for further medical treatment. And just mentioned that the hikers were well prepared and equipped for the conditions. So that seems kind of just like a unfortunate time for something like that to happen at an AMC hut when you're having to stay.
Right.
And they got him out. So next also on the 22nd, we have 9 a.m. The AMC made a call to conservation officers with New Hampshire Fish and Game, aware of an injured guest at the Lonesome Lake Hut. It was reported that the guest had slipped and fallen on some ice, causing an injury to his leg that preventing him from hiking out to the trailhead. So again, it seems just kind of a slip and fall situation here. Conservation officers and a group of 8 volunteers from Pemi Valley Search and Rescue, good job Pemi, responded to the trailhead at Lafayette Campground. The first rescuers started up at 10 a.m. and reached the hut by 11 a.m. The injured man was packaged into a rescue sled, and the rescue party started at the trailhead where they arrived at 12:20 p.m. So quick turnaround, 9 a.m. call, 12:20 p.m. back at the trailhead. The injured hiker was identified as a 72-year-old from Massachusetts. He had hiked to the AMC Lonesome Lake Hut with a group the previous day. Just mentioned the group was well prepared, spent the night there, and while the hiker was actually walking around the perimeter of the hut around 8 a.m., he slipped on some ice and caused a leg injury. So just an unfortunate thing there. Maybe he was out sort of in his camp slippers or whatever, just looking at the views and took a fall. So kind of just a bad luck there. And they kind of just go on to further highlight that the group was very well prepared and very appreciative of the help they received from the AMC, Fish and Game, and of course the Pemi Valley Search and Rescue team.
All right. Well, good thing they injuries around the hut, not the worst thing in the world, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
No, but they do get icy. You got to be careful. I remember even like when we were at Zealand Hut last year, you got to be careful when you're going to the bathroom or whatever in the middle of the night. You don't want to put your spikes on, but
especially after you've had a couple of shots of bourbon from our friend Peter.
This is fair.
All right. So stay safe out there. And then, all right. So we learned about some White Mountain history tonight. We learned about Izzy. We learned about that it was not my fault that there's no sledding on the cog. That's just always been the rule, and we just didn't know it. So now we reminded it, and so that's all good stuff. Yeti now has backpacks. So,
covered a lot of ground tonight. In
full
the
of new
efficient
information.
manner.
Yeah. Yes. So until next time, this is episode 225. We'll be back at episode 226. I don't know when, Nick.
I think next week. I think we got some guests lined up potentially. We got a So You Want in the can. So I don't know.
All right. And then Izzy, now that you've sat through a whole episode, if we invited you back, would you definitely come back? Maybe come back, or definitely not?
I would definitely come back. That flew by.
Okay, I know it did go by quick. So all right, we'll have to do. Maybe
I don't know. I think she might have been a better co-host than Dave is.
1,000%.
I've done things people have heard of. That's the difference.
Exactly.
It's fair.
That's
true. Often like somewhere like whatever like town in New Hampshire kind of deal.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, but maybe we'll have you back
Cheshire.
When Dave reports from the AT. We'll have you back on as a co-host.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
We will probably be starting to try to have at least some segment when we have the full episodes to give everybody an update where Dave is. We wish you well, buddy. And as I said, he's my spirit animal right now. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, until next week, have a good weekend and stay safe out there.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed the show, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to learn more about the topics covered in today's show, please check out the show notes and safety information at SLASRPodcast.com. That's SLASRPodcast.com. You can also follow the show on Facebook and Instagram. We hope you'll join us next week for another great show. Until then, on behalf of Mike and Stomp, get out there and crush some mega peaks.
Now covered in scratches, blisters, and bug bites, Chris Staff wanted to complete his most challenging day hike ever.
Fish and Game officers say the hiker from Florida activated an emergency beacon yesterday morning. He was hiking along the Appalachian Trail when the weather started to get worse. Officials say the snow was piled up to 3 feet in some spots, and there was a wind chill of -1 degree.
And there's 3 race. Do we all know where they are?
Here's Lieutenant James Nealon, New Hampshire Fish and Game. Lieutenant, thanks for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
What are some of the most common mistakes you see people make when they're heading out on the trails to hike here in New Hampshire?
It seems to me the most common is being unprepared, and I think if they just simply visited hikesafe.com and got a list of the 10 essential items and had those in their packs, they probably would have no need to ever call us at all.